In a galaxy on the edge of war, two unlikely souls find something even more dangerous than the rebellion.
Syril Karn.
I know who you are.
Their feelings.
Try to follow on the conversation we had last month.
That wasn't a conversation. You were brought in for questioning.
This summer, a city boy and a small-town girl, and by small town I mean a high-security Imperial kinderblock for orphan children and political criminals and dissidents,
My parents were criminals.
join forces in an unlikely adventure to save the galaxy. From Syril's mom. Would you watch that? I would watch the crap out of that. I mean, I love Syril and Dedra together. I didn't know I needed that kind of couple in Star Wars, but now I can't look away. It's like watching a Roomba slowly fall in love with a ceiling fan. You know it's ever going to work out. I mean, one's domain is in the sky and the other's domain is on the ground. Look, a lot of us shipped Syril and Dedra together in the first season of Andor because they had a lot of similarities, like they both kind of struggle with social cues.
Have you modified your uniform?
Perhaps slightly. Pockets piping and some light tailoring.
Dedra does hide this side of herself a little better, but it's still there.
What do we do in this building? Why are we here? Anyone?
We're here to further security objectives by collecting intelligence, providing useful analysis, and conducting effective covert action.
Very good, Dedra. That is verbatim from the ISB mission statement and wrong.
And she walked right into that trap. Never answer your supervisor's rhetorical question when he's pacing angrily back and forwards. It's not a good idea. In this way, Syril and Dedra are both kind of similar. They don't really get people. They don't fit in too well in social settings sometimes. But on the flip side, they both are terrific analysts and investigators who are really driven by data and information. This is where they thrive.
Unauthorized Imperial equipment, Ferrix 0430. Ensign retrieved a sealed Imperial NS-9 Starpath unit from the site.
After months of searching, screens started lining up across the room. I had uncovered a cabal of corrupt purchasing agents who were stealing Imperial supplies in 4 sectors.
These two are also extremely intense when it comes to pursuing criminals. They also believe that by following the book, following all of their orders and procedure, they will endear themselves to their supervisors. But in Syril's case, he finds out that Chief Hines is both negligent but also very incompetent at his job, whereas Dedra realizes that many of her fellow ISB officers are also kind of incompetent and corrupt and focus more on politics than catching criminals. These two also have, it seems like, childhood trauma. Syril has been getting dunked on by his mom ever since the umbilical cord was cut, and Dedra has basically been raised in a concentration camp for children. And somehow she doesn't understand how that's messed her up and created some really deeply rooted trauma. It's actually quite terrifying she's like this. For both these characters, their trauma manifests in a strong desire to control their surroundings. Both are very neat and put together quite well. The apartment they share together is as devoid of life and warmth as a Tesla showroom. Now, despite all of these similarities, when these two meet, not only do sparks not fly, their interactions are gloriously uncomfortable for everyone involved.
Are you stalking me?
I know you work here, and I come sometimes to see if I'll see you.
I am an ISB supervisor. Do you have any idea how much trouble you're in right now?
This is where we begin to see what sets these two apart.
Just being in your presence, I've realized that life was worth living.
This actually reminds me a lot of Anakin's famous line, from Attack of the Clones.
The closer I get to you, the worse it gets. The thought of not being with you, I can't breathe.
Except in Syril's case, it makes sense with the character for him to talk like this.
You come near me again, you pursue any of this, and I swear I'll have you in a cage on the Outer Rim.
Yeah, keep watching Syril's face. Watch as he turns back to the camera and you'll see the slightest of smiles. I love the barely concealed emotions that are always trying to emerge on Syril's weird face. Now, the crazy thing here is the harsher Dedra is, the more she threatens Syril and pushes him away, the more she reminds Syril of her mother. And I think he likes that. It's in this scene that we kind of realize that these two individuals have a different value system, despite having similar personalities. You see, while both Syril and Dedra are obsessed with control, it seems like Syril Karn's secondary obsession is with justice. At the beginning of our story, his zeal is somewhere between an overzealous mall cop and an adult troop leader for a fascist youth movement. In all honesty, sometimes his earnestness combined with how awkward he is makes him kind of endearing.
There comes a time when the risk of doing nothing becomes the greatest risk of all.
This is a great line because it actually shows us a lot about who Syril is. I mean, he's very enthusiastic, he's very naive, and he doesn't really understand like what he's getting himself into, right? It's kind of crazy for essentially a law enforcement officer to say something, hey, think later, act first. That's not what you want to hear. You know, as a cop, you're not a crusader. You're not here to assault an enemy fortress and kill the enemy. You don't need to amp yourself up like this. You are here to arrest an individual, ideally without discharging any weapons. Syril is impulsive, he's eager, he's like a 12-year-old kid playing cop. Syril is so driven by his sense of justice that sometimes he visibly shakes when he's talking about it.
I realized that if nothing else, there was justice and beauty in the galaxy, and if I just kept going. Perhaps my deranged belief that there was something better fated for me in the future was a dream worth clinging to.
Notice how Dedra's looking at Syril like he's a crazy person.
I could have you arrested. You're aware of that.
I want what you want. I sense it. I know it.
You're out of your mind.
See, Dedra should be taken at her word here. There's a major difference between her and Syril. Dedra is not necessarily after justice. She has a direct view of how the omelet is made by the Empire. She knows that this government is not about justice. It's about control. It's about staying in power. And she's comfortable with that. I mean, remember when she outdid the evil Imperial propagandists during their final solution for the Ghorman meeting?
Propaganda will only get you so far. You need a radical insurgency you can count on.
What drives Dedra is just her job, her career. That is the only thing that really matters to her. Not because her personality or values fit so well with the Empire, it's because she knows nothing else. This is her entire life, and that is caused by her trauma. Syril's trauma is his mother. It's something I think a lot of people can relate to. She also, again, might be a part of like the Brotherhood of the Sith or some other kind of dark side cult. But at the end of the day, she's still mom's.
Mother.
With every slap in the face, he gets a hug, which is like wildly confusing. And, you know, if he grew up like this, you know, if he was a toddler and his mom was treating him like this, then he probably skipped a lot of developmental milestones, right? I mean, you don't do this to people. It's fucked up. I actually think somewhere deep down inside of Syril is a normal kid, but unfortunately his mom has been fucking with his head since day one. This is why he's so unsure of himself. But here's the thing, as bad as his upbringing was, it was still probably like a middle-class upbringing where he had his own room, 10 seconds of sunlight every day, some toys. I don't think his mom or his father was, you know, physically abusing him in any way. If anything, it seems like his mom really did take care of him. He's educated and he's relatively competent at whatever job he's placed in. I think we have to credit Syril's mom, you know, both good and bad. In this twisted environment, Syril still is able to develop some normal emotions. He can develop friendships with Sergeant Tactical Blueberry Linus Mosk. He can admire Dedra Meero for her cold, efficient beauty. Now, he has a sense of justice, which is oftentimes connected to individuals who are obsessed with order, but also sometimes a sense of justice is connected with people with empathy, who want to stand up for the bullied or downtrodden. Dedra actually has none of this. I don't know what the Imperial Kinderblocks were like exactly, but I imagine they were devoid of love, nurturing, and you know, mother or father-like figures. These are children of criminals or political dissidents, and I'm sure they were closely watched, they were disciplined, and anything positive that could happen in their lives was probably due to them following orders. That means from a young age, Dedra has been indoctrinated to believe that the order provides, keeps her safe. It is her entire world. The fact that Dedra isn't a broken person with confidence issues might mean that she's a strong individual, but it also might mean that she's suppressing deeper underlying issues that the indoctrination took care of. This makes me highly suspect that when Dedra is nice to others, like her aide or to Syril when she tries to protect him from his mother, she might be doing this in order to just advance her own interests. It's a pretty cynical take on things, and I really hope that Dedra does have like a little bit of compassion and kindness in her. but, you know, when I see scenes like this, it worries me.
How long can I stay?
An hour.
Are you kidding? An hour?
Turn out the lights.
As a society, male psychopaths are far more visible than their female counterparts. Male psychopaths pursue power and dominance. The high-functioning ones probably make up a good percentage of the political or business leadership in the world. Male psychopaths are also known to be physically aggressive and vicious. Female psychopaths tend to be more hidden. They tend to use their charm to manipulate others, or their, feminine appearance to manipulate people. While male psychopaths tend to murder people directly with violence and force, female psychopaths use more indirect methods like poison or tricking other people to do the deed for them. The field of psychology has also long been dominated by men, which might also be why female psychopaths sometimes go below the radar and oftentimes are misdiagnosed as other things. I believe that Dedra is a psychopath. Please do not tell her that. The way that Dedra looks at Syril with slight disgust is a huge red flag because she still has a relationship with him. Even when Syril saves her life, her response is a bit suspect.
I should say thank you. You don't have to.
I know she's probably in shock after having almost gotten killed by a mob, but still, her response stands out. There is no relief, there is no gratitude towards Syril, really. It's just her recovering from her ordeal and then running scenarios through her head on how a normal person would react to their savior. See, Dedra has cognitive empathy. She understands why people act and respond the way they do. She understands that when someone saves your life, you're supposed to say thank you. But she probably lacks emotional empathy, as in she's never really felt gratitude or these other feelings that make us human. I think Syril does have those feelings. I don't see him as a psychopath at all. And this is a problem, especially now that she has roped Syril into this controlled opposition Ghorman Front, who they have just pushed into launching an attack against the Empire. Something awful is clearly going to happen on Ghorman, and Syril will be there to witness it. If we're talking about innocent civilians being gunned down left and right, I don't think Cyril's going to take this well. His entire view of the Empire, of justice, might come crumbling down in one moment. If you take a look at Cyril's actions all throughout the first and second season, he hasn't really done anything as crazy as Dedra has. I mean, he still thinks this is all a game. Remember when he shows up at the ISB headquarters and he's like, this is the greatest day of my life? I mean, I love that scene, by the way. But yeah, he's so in over his head, man. And more importantly, if he does make it out of there and he's able to confront Dedra about the situation, I think he'll find a not so accommodating ISB officer who now has turned a cold shoulder. I mean, the only thing that I think will really affect Dedra and make her feel any emotions is if somehow this mission hurts her career and her standing in the ISB. Because that is what she is at the end of the day. In more fantastical versions of Star Wars, the Empire might create these twisted Jedi who turn into Inquisitors through, torture and dark side magic. But in Andor, in this more grounded, realistic version of Star Wars, the Empire simply just has to completely destroy what makes a person human to create these super enforcers like Dedra Meero. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the whole point of the Kinderblock, to really create these smart, ruthless psychopaths who also believe that their own security is tied to the Empire. It makes the perfect huntress. Syril will eventually have to realize that what he wants from Dedra, the very things his own mother doesn't give him, like love and respect and appreciation, he'll probably never be able to get from Dedra either because, she's just not built like that. It's not her fault. She just doesn't have the capacity to feel. As much as I want to see these two crazy kids come together and fall in love, start a family of weird little Syril and Dedra children that all are, super neat and have the close cropped haircuts, I just don't think it's going to happen. Even if they listen to Perrin's amazing wedding speech about love, the good and the bad, it's not going to shake Dedra, out of some kind of trance. This is just what she's like. And when Syril learns about this, it'll be kind of heartbreaking. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button down below so you don't miss out on the rest of our awesome content. As usual, my name is Alan, reminding you that my allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy. I'll see you next time.